talking about a place that a lot of people come to visit and then they come back to stay. That's Duck Creek Village. This is in kind of the Cedar Mountain area near Bryan Head. It's about 90-minute drive from St. George and 3 hours from Las Vegas. And we find people are coming from Las Vegas and St. George and they just want to cool off because it's like 25, 30 degrees cooler on a hot summer day. As well as all the off-roading. When I go there, I'm amazed. There's so many trails and roads and off-road vehicles everywhere, which a busy weekend, I will warn you, it gets dusty. So, but there's a lot going on there. And during the winter, snowmobiles and out on snowshoes and stuff. So it's just such a fun place to be. And they fall in love with it and they come back and they buy a place. And sometimes it's like a permanent year round and sometimes it's like part of the year. But we have different subdivisions. Some of them don't allow vacation rentals. They are year-round properties, and so people are there year-round, or still part-time, but you won't have the vacationers in your neighborhood. And then you have areas that people buy a place and they rent it out when they're not there, or an investor has just picked up a property there. So I do want to talk a little bit about, I have people who call me and they're like, hey, I want to find a vacation property and I want it to generate this extra amount each month. That has been a real challenge with how much properties went up and the interest rates. Without a large down payment, often they aren't breaking even each month. And so they'll find that really frustrating. One thing I would recommend is to talk to your accountant. If there's something where like, yeah, I can cover that extra bit each month and I qualify for the loan, your accountant can often point out other ways this can save you money, especially if you are self-employed. And so it's one thing, talk to your accountant. I'm not one, I cannot give you advice, but sometimes that ends up making a little more sense for you on the financial end. And some are totally fine. If it doesn't cover, they're there to make memories. They maybe don't rent it out at all or hardly ever. They're just there to have a great time. And so you'll see a wide range of that happening in Duck Creek. Duck Creek is near so many fun places. Navajo Lake is gorgeous. They stock it with fish. You'll see some boaters out there, kayaking. I've seen some paddle boats. They have some like little cabins, lodge, whatever, that you can rent right there by it. You will also see some off-grid like cabins in the trees nearby. When I talk about off-grid, I'm talking about they're using solar panels, generators. They have like a water tank. They're hauling their water in. So they don't have all the utilities there. And sometimes they have, well, pretty well always, when they're off-grid, you're not gonna have access during the winter without like snowmobiles. You might have to park somewhere and take your snowmobile to your property, or some just don't go at all during the winter months up to their property. So also when you're at Navajo Lake, your cell phone may not be working. So print off maps when you're coming up into this area, or like have a map, because GPS isn't always going to work. I've kind of learned that the hard way at times trying to find things. So make sure you've got that taken care of before you come. Oh, let me see. I was going to tell you about other places we've done. Mammoth Cave is kind of there by Duck Creek. And Mammoth Cave is these lava tubes underground. So you pull up into the parking lot. There aren't really signs that direct you, but there's kind of an opening in the fence and you just kind of walk straight and you would fall in the hole after you've walked a little bit. There is this large opening and it's lava rock and you just climb down in there. We spent like 2 or 3 hours. My kids had so much fun, and it was kind of like, they were like little gophers. They were like underground and then they'd pop up in the forest somewhere else. It was cute. There's like 4 or 5 entrances, exits to this, and they were just going all over. There were quite a few people there, but still not overly crowded. And I mean, sometimes because you were having to my kids went through spaces there's no way I would have fit through, and bent in ways that I don't know if I've ever bent in my life, but they got through these little slots, army crawling and stuff. And sometimes you get someone who's a little bit slower, so sometimes I know they were waiting behind people, but they made lots of friends down there. It's totally pitch black dark, so you've got to have a light. I'd recommend like a headlamp so you have your hands, but to be honest, my daughter used her cell phone flashlight and guided her little sisters through, so you can do that. And it can be a little bit chilly. My kids were fine. They didn't feel like they needed a jacket, but I've heard other people say bring a jacket because it is colder when you get down under there. And they have some picnic tables under the trees, so you could like have a little picnic and let the kids play and explore, or you yourself, some of you may love to bend like a pretzel and fit through rocks, so there's that. So, and there's bats. We didn't see the bats, but there's like an area that during hibernation that's blocked off. For the bats, but you'll see that that's blocked off part of the year. But anyway, that was like a fun thing to take your family. Another thing is Cascade Falls. It's supposed to be an easy hike, and it is. I was a little nervous. There's like, it's a little narrow in some spots, so I always worried a little bit about my kids going off the side, and it is steep-ish. There's steps like cut into the hillside and different things, but the falls are beautiful. It's not I should have looked up, it wasn't a super long hike. And I saw cute little grandmas on the trail and small children, you know, being dragged by parents with kids, you know, hooked up on their back or front. So, and they were all doing it and enjoying it. The views are remarkable. The pictures don't do it justice. So it really is a beautiful hike. It was pretty crowded the day I was there, so there was a lot of like sliding over to the edge so people can get by. I was there on the weekend after the 24th of July. If you're not from Utah, the 24th of July is the Utah statehood holiday. So everything is a little bit busier that weekend when you go up into the mountains. You'll have the campgrounds all full and the trails and all that. So just beware if that's the weekend you're coming. So Highway 143 runs between Bryan Head and Duck Creek Village, and Cedar Mountain Monument is in between there. And it is gorgeous, like all the beautiful red rocks of southern Utah. It just displays it quite well there. There's some hikes there where you get peaks and views of the beautiful red rocks, so definitely worth checking out. I will mention that road closes during the winter, so you have to take an alternate path between Duck Creek and Bryan Head if you're trying to get between the two. So normally you're looking at like a 33-minute drive between Bryan Head and Duck Creek, 30-minute, but you're looking at more of a 40-minute when you have to take the alternate route. I think it's Highway 14 is the alternate route when Highway 143 is closed for winter. If you are buying like say a lot in the Duck Creek area, some things to think about is the accessibility of utilities. Just kind of look at what you're using it for. Is it accessible during the winter? Do they plow to that location or not? Or are you gonna have to take four-wheelers? So it's important to look into all those things. Is there an HOA, CCNRs that tell you whether you can have vacation rentals or not? Does it tell you whether you can just park a trailer there? Because there are some subdivisions that you can't park your camper trailer there unless you have an active building permit or there's already like a cabin on the property, then you can also park a trailer there. So there can be little rules like that. So it's just important to go over all of that and educate yourself, and making sure that the roofs, if you're building your own, are built to really get that snow to slide off. Last winter, I think it was, or 2 winters ago, super heavy winter. I know a couple cabins had their roofs cave in due to not getting that snow off the roof. So it is something to think about when you're buying a cabin or building. And if you, or even your deck getting too high with snow, that can also be a problem. So it's important to either you yourself be taking care of that, or hiring somebody. I will also note, if you're going to build up there, you're going to find limitations on contractors, or if you're buying a cabin that needs a lot of work, you might have a long wait time, and it's going to be a lot more money. Getting the cement trucks up there and just all the equipment, the wood, it's just more because it's off, it's out there. You see the same thing if you were looking at Bryan Head to buy a property there. Bryan Head typically is a little bit more expensive. It's a resort town than Duck Creek Village. So some people look at both. And if you're big into wanting to do the skiing, Bryan Head might be a better spot for you. I know of people who bought in Duck Creek and then all of their grandkids love to ski and snowboard. So they're selling that to move to Bryan Head to be next to the ski resorts. But then I know others who just love and feel like the trail system is better in Duck Creek for their snowmobiles and their off-road vehicles. So they prefer to have their place be in Duck Creek Village. As far as pricing, when you're looking in the Duck Creek area, I have seen very small cabins, almost shack-like, off-grid, that the property there with the building was, $200,000-ish. And then I've seen multi-million-dollar cabins with the big, beautiful windows and views and tons of rooms and, the garage for all the toys and all that stuff. So, and then everything in between. And so there's something there for everyone. So if you'd like to go explore this area or have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. All my contact information is below. I'm always looking for a reason to go cool off on a hot summer day. I'll talk to you soon.